This is the Bowers Farm and Johnson Nature Center Public Engagement Results Presentation. Superintendent West will get this teed up.
Yes, thank you, President Hill. As many of the community and much of the reason people are probably here tonight, this is a presentation based on the directive that I was given earlier in the fall or late summer to seek community input into what a potential partnership would be with Oakland County Parks regarding the Bowers Farm and the Johnson Nature Center. As such, we conducted an exhaustive process in the month of October where we collected much feedback from the community in both survey form and community engagement events. Those were both attended well, pretty good attendance there, and we got tremendous feedback. And Oakland County Parks has joined us tonight to go through that deck, revealing the results of that survey, and that will lead us to the next part of the conversation, which is, okay, so what, now what? And so I will turn it over to Oakland County Parks, who will present the data to the board, and then we can have discussion around that.
Okay. Hi, everyone. Thank you for having us. I'm Simon Rivers. I'm a planner with Oakland County Parks, and I was the lead on public engagement for this process, for this potential agreement. I had the opportunity to engage with many Bloomfield Hills schools families, and we had our two open houses, one at Johnson Nature Center and the other at Bowers, and both were attended very well. And I'm really excited to dig into some of this data here to let you all know that folks are excited in this community about a potential partnership. So, and I should also say that we have our director here and our deputy director, Chris and Alan. We also have Ashley, one of our chiefs of nature education, who would be overseeing a potential partnership with the Johnson Nature Center. And this presentation was put together by our data analyst, Liz. So, go ahead and get started. So the purpose of our survey, as Superintendent West said, was to measure the support for a potential a partnership between Oakland County Parks and Bloomfield Hills Schools, as well as to determine what the priorities are for the community for both Bowers as well as Johnson Nature Center. And we also wanted to see how those two facilities are currently used and what residents and community members would like to see moving forward. As we mentioned, the stakeholders were, of course, Bloomfield Hills Schools, Oakland County Parks, as well as current and potential visitors to both facilities. And we held our two engagement events. The first one was a Saturday during Fall Fest at Bowers School Farm, and the other was a Monday evening at Johnson Nature Center. And the online survey, which was emailed out to the community members, as well as a postcard went out to folks who live within the school district. And the survey was open for about a month. So here's our at a glance. We had about 750 participants, more than 600 online, as well as almost 100 in person at our two events. And the top numbers are 61% of survey respondents were in favor of a potential partnership, with 25 additional percent needed more information to decide, and 14% were not in support. And so, as you can see, the top priorities for participants were agricultural education, weekend events, natural areas and trails, as well as youth education opportunities. And the top activities included the farm, store, and kitchen, fall festival, field trips, and hiking. And so we had some differences based on the demographics, based on who was a parent and who was not a parent for those who were taking our survey. And so we will get into that in just a little bit. So here's the demographics. 97% live within Oakland County. 32%, almost a third, lived within Bloomfield Township, with another 27% in Bloomfield Hills, and almost 70% lived within the Bloomfield Hills School District. So that was really important, that we wanted to make sure that we had an overwhelming majority of our survey respondents being the families and community members that are in the Bloomfield Hills School District. 41% were the parent or guardian of a child currently enrolled in Bloomfield Hills schools, and just over half have children under 19 years old, and the most common age range was 6 to 11. And you can see this graphic here the geography of our survey respondents. So representation, the age range, the 35 to 54 age range, was overrepresented, and that was purposeful because we knew that we wanted to market and solicit feedback from parents, from Bloomfield Hills Schools parents, and so we have other age ranges that were underrepresented in the survey. And we also, as you can see to the right of the screen there, that we had 69% of our respondents were women and only 26% were men. And so we need to figure out a way, I guess, to, as we move forward, sort of balance that disparity there. And then the racial and ethnic demographics of the respondents were about right. So once again, 61% were in favor. There was an opportunity to leave some open feedback, and a part of that feedback were some qualifiers from respondents. Some folks said, yes, but I'd like to learn more. I'm not sure, but I'm leaning yes. And so we included that in the 61% who were in favor, with 25% needing more information, which, as we move forward with a potential partnership, we are happy to continue our engagement. And 14% were opposed. As you can see in the pie chart there, that's a large majority. If it were an election, it'd pretty much be a landslide. So we're happy to see that there were so many who were in favor of a potential partnership. And then you can see in the bar chart there the different geographies of folks who were in favor, who needed more information, and who were opposed. And you can see that while Bloomfield Township did have the highest number of residents who were opposed to this partnership, you can see that more than double were in favor of the partnership, with another chunk needing more information. And so we find that to be very encouraging, that at first glance of a partnership, that even folks who are not the lowest number of folks who were opposed, double that were in favor. So now we're going to get into some results based on the two different facilities. So Bowers School Farm. So only about 13% of folks correctly guessed that Bowers School Farm sees 40,000 visitors annually. So a lot of folks greatly underestimated the number of visitors that Bowers gets every year. And then you can also see that 49% of participants visit Bowers School Farm more than once, but less than 10 times a year. So you have folks who are going, about once a month. 17% visit more than once a month. So you have a pretty strong contingent of folks who frequent the Bowers School Farm pretty often, and then 5% have never visited. And question 3 is, are you actively supporting Bowers School Farm in any of the following ways? And 83% of survey respondents said that they are actively supporting Bowers School Farm, whether that's in purchasing a membership, having volunteered, making monetary donations, and then there are other ways, purchasing items from the farm, attending the school or camp, and then a number of other ways that folks have been supportive of the farm. So if you have visited the farm, we asked, what did you do on your visit? And we had over half of respondents say that they have visited the farm, store, and kitchen while visiting, and 53%, more than half, have visited during Fall Festival, and just under half have attended the Winter Park. And so you can see up at the top few most popular activities: farm store, farm festival, weekend events and activities. And then you'll see at the bottom that renting space for birthday parties, and we have employees who Bloomfield Hills Schools employees who took the survey, which we're happy to see as well. I'll move forward. Okay, so we also asked how important the Bauer School Farms offerings are, and you can see from top to bottom that agricultural education was one of the most important elements of Bauer School Farms. So animal experiences, you'll see 81% were found that to be very important for Bauer School Farm to continue offering, as well as the educational experiences, grade K through 5 field trips, summer camp and youth programs, as well as grades 6 through 12 environmental education. Which one of the following, how important to you are the following features and activities? This is another ratings question that we ask in our surveys, just to compare the amenities and features. And as you can see, healthy forests and natural areas was the top feature. Again, agricultural education and those amenities also rated pretty high. And towards the bottom, you see some playground and play features, improved parking and traffic flow, and dedicated event space. While they were rated important, maybe not as important as some of the educational pieces. So this question, we worked with Karen and her team to put this survey together, and this was very important from Bloomfield Hills Schools to ask this question. And it's important for us as well, because we want to make sure that that community members feel a sense of ownership, of course, to maintain ownership over the park. So we asked, how important is it to you that Bloomfield Hills Schools maintains ownership of Bauer School Farm? 58% said very important, with another 17% saying somewhat important. And so that's about 3 out of 4 survey respondents find it important to maintain ownership. And we had some open-ended questions as well, as I mentioned, and there are just a few that are highlighted here. Share your creative ideas for the future of Bauer School Farm, such as new amenities and activities. There are expanding STEM programs, offering community gardening plots. There's a call for certain playground structures and play activities. Ropes course. So there's a lot of really interesting ideas and suggestions from the community. And then another open-ended question where folks were able to ensure that their comments were heard, offering a lot of positive feedback, including positive thoughts about the nature trails and outdoor access, farms and gardening, as well as educational experiences. So we'll keep moving forward to Johnson Nature Center. And so once again, we asked survey respondents to approximate how many guests they think visit Johnson Nature Center every year, and only about a quarter guessed correctly that it's 10,000 visitors annually. And then we asked how often folks visit the Johnson Nature Center. 42% of participants visit the Johnson Nature Center more than once, but less than 10 times a year. And then you can see that 12% have never visited. So just to sort of compare, 5% of Bowers, of survey respondents had never visited Bowers, while 12% had never visited Johnson. So Johnson Nature Center. So we see a little bit of more folks who are more familiar with Bowers. And about 50% of folks say that they're actively supporting Johnson Nature Center, including donating money, volunteering, fundraising events, and purchasing members, attending schools and classes, etc. Once again, we asked what folks did during their visit to Johnson Nature Center, and more than half, almost 60%, have used the no-cost access to trails and hiking. And there, of course, is a lot of great educational opportunities at a nature center. And folks have also visited the animals. And then you can see towards the bottom, again, that, some dedicated rental spaces are maybe not as important as some of the more concrete educational opportunities for students. And we asked the question, how important are the following offerings at Johnson Nature Center? And the number one most important were the no-cost trails and hiking. And I should note that there were a few people who were there at the public engagement event who were using the trails. They were there to use the trails, and they saw that we were having an event, and they popped in and let us know how important the trails were and how important Johnson Nature Center was to them. And of course, K through 12 educational opportunities, bird walks, and pond studies as well. And how important to you are the following features and activities? Healthy forest and natural areas. I mean, we see a bit of a pattern here. That's the most important feature for survey respondents, as well as quiet areas and scenic views, and then boardwalk repairs and improvements. And then lower on the list are the outdoor pavilion and nature play, as well as parking lot enhancement and visitor amenities. So once again, we asked, how important is it to you that Bloomfield Hills Schools maintains ownership of the Johnson Nature Center? And more than half say yes, Bloomfield Hills Schools should remain the owner. And then another about 18% say that it is somewhat important. So again, more than 70% of respondents believe it is important for Bloomfield Hills Schools to maintain ownership of the two facilities while being in support of a potential partnership with Oakland County Parks. So we asked for creative ideas for the future of Johnson Nature Center, and we got a lot of wonderful feedback about nature preservation, and of course, once again, that community education piece. So folks asked for more signage, interpretive signage, for longer hours, and just a number of suggestions that folks are really passionate about. And finally, the final open-ended question, we ask, are there any other comments, questions, or suggestions? And once again, the overwhelming majority of folks gave positive suggestions and love the features and amenities that are already at Johnson Nature Center, and want to increase the amenities, increase the opportunities for educational, increase educational opportunities for students. And I believe that's it. So I'm happy to answer any questions. Yeah.
I just have to say that when the board set out to get this community feedback and asked for something like this, I never envisioned it would be this great and so thorough and so many different ways to break down the data. So thank you very much. This was a big effort, but I find it incredibly helpful and informative. So thank you very much.
Thanks.
Any other comments or questions or feedback?
General feedback. I attended both of the in-person events, met with the team from Oakland, met a lot of our community members, and talked about the nature center and the farm. Almost unanimously, as Simon was saying, everyone was in favor of continuing to explore the partnership and had great ideas. Had a lot of turnout from a lot of families really interested in our tree school program, at the Nature Center and kind of talking about how important that is to that program. And then the educational programming on the farm side and how kind of important that's been to them in the past. Again, almost unanimously in favor. There were a couple people who were concerned, I'm not sure why, that by adopting this partnership, we'd be opening up the Nature Center to people outside of Bloomfield. It's always been open to the public, so that was kind of a strange comment. But otherwise, I didn't hear anyone suggesting that this wasn't the path that they wanted to explore as a community. So it was excellent. It was very well done. Appreciated all the efforts from Oakland Parks. Thank you.
I did have one question in terms of, I saw a lot of positive feedback. I went through the raw comments, kind of scrolled through that, which was good, but I obviously didn't have enough time to kind of put it together. It sounded like I could see what people thought in terms of why this would be beneficial and exploring it. What was the top reason people said no? Was there a resounding reason why people were opposed to it?
Yeah, I mean, I think that any time that there's a partnership with another entity, there's a little bit of skepticism, especially when a potential partnership could look like, a different entity operating the facilities. So there was just a little bit, I think, a healthy amount of skepticism just about, why Oakland County Parks it was interested in pursuing a potential partnership. And of course we let them know that Oakland County Parks is interested in investing in areas where historically we have not invested. In our 50, 60-year history now, Oakland County Parks has, mostly stayed to the northern end of the county. And so, now with new leadership, Oakland County Parks is planning to invest, give more folks a cut of the pie, if you will. A lot of folks were also asking us at the events what our plan was, and there was again that skepticism that we have an agenda or like an ulterior motive, or like we have a plan already that we are going to impose on the community, and we just very gently let them know that the reason that we wanted to do this robust public engagement process is because we want to hear what the community wants, right? And so we don't want to plan for this community. We don't want to impose our priorities. We want to hear what the community's priorities are and to sort of implement them along the way.
Okay, so I guess it's fair to say you didn't hear, or from the comments, it was less about concrete specific reasons. Maybe there were some, but it was more about, I need more information.
That was pretty much it. They wanted more information. They wanted to continue to be involved throughout the potential partnership agreement and in forming that agreement. And so, as with all of our community agreements and partnerships, we will continue to do that community engagement throughout the process. As the trustee mentioned, there are a couple folks who said, this shouldn't be open to the public. It should only be open to Bloomfield Hills schools, residents, and of course, there's the reminder that the Johnson Nature Center and Bowers are open to the public already. So. Please, yeah.
If I could just add to that. So this is obviously not a scientifically accurate poll. It's
Right.
a voluntary survey. And I would say in looking at these surveys over the years, what's remarkable is how many people are invested in these two facilities. So I would say this is a good measurement of the people who care the most about these facilities. So given how much people love these facilities and the assets there in the community, I think it's remarkable that there's this much support given that there's a change involved. And, as we have more detail, it's a vicious, catch-22 situation. Do we work out all the details first so we have the answers for them, or do we, do this process where we're seeking input first. But I would say, just from my perspective, this was a very strong response of support, given how much people love the facilities, and that there's a change involved.
Sure. Thank you.
Simon, would you mind just quickly going over the infographic bit?
Oh, sure. Yep.
Michelle, do you want to?
I just wanted to just ask, like, are there other parts that weren't necessarily captured in the survey that would be beneficial for us to know about or hear, as relates to maybe there's some things that may have come up through conversation or with families that were there that may add value to, because you can't capture every question, right? But there may have been some other things. I know, Jason, from what you maybe engaged with the families that were present, were there things that you sort of heard?
Yeah, so two things I heard actually afterwards. One was, and again, a lot of the commentary was on kind of educational programming in association with the county and how that would work. One person raised kind of the MSU extension relationship between Oakland County and MSU and how that would work with regard to the Farm and Nature Center. And then the tree school, as I mentioned, was one of the other things that came up a lot, is kind of how do we protect, enhance those kind of programs, what kind of things happen to them. But that was the general gist.
And I'd like to add that, especially at the Johnson Nature Center, several parents of students in the tree school showed up, and you could really see how passionate they all were in favor of the tree school, and that was really impressed upon us. Please don't get rid of the tree school. They just spoke glowingly of the program and of the director of the tree school. And also I should mention the other programs at Bowers, FFA and 4-H as well. Those were really, I had one parent say that 4-H saved her child's life. So these folks are very passionate, as Chris mentioned, about these two facilities, and so I think those were, please.
One thing I might add, so one of the other things that we did at the events was ask about what type of improvements people would like to see at the parks, and so, or at these facilities, which could be more public recreation park oriented. And so I don't know if you have any of that with you, Simon, just in terms of the people were looking for more trailways, public restroom availability, I don't know, pavilions for family gatherings, that kind of thing.
Yeah, that were, we asked what folks' top priorities were in person, and they got to, the prompt was, if you had $1,000 to spend at Bowers or at Johnson Nature Center, how would you spend it? And the top choices were pretty reflective of the survey. And so the trails, folks were really passionate about keeping the trails open, maintaining them, as best as we could. So restrooms are always going to be really popular as well. And then the nature educational opportunities, those were some of the top comments we received on sort of our priority board activity. And you can see the infographic here. This is specifically just the survey, but again, at Johnson Nature Center, it's pretty much exactly what I mentioned: the trails and hiking, youth education, visiting rescue animals, and which again is an educational opportunity, as well as maple sugaring, again, educational opportunity. So folks see that these facilities are both recreational but also educational, and they want to continue that as well.
Any further comments?
So I'll just add, so I appreciate the partnership in the community outreach and input. Just reminding the board how we ended up here. This has been a year and a half. I think you just reflected. I inherited this conversation when I got here last year, and we picked it up, and it's gone through its own levels of motivation. And I will tell you, I was very impressed with the the information we got too. One thing I've been impressed with this community about is when you ask them a question, they'll provide the input and in a robust way. And I do genuinely appreciate that, and this was no exception. What I got out of the information, and again, I've had the privilege of seeing this a couple times now, as has a couple of our trustees through the strategic planning process or committee. What I hear is, the community wants the properties preserved. They want to see enhancements. They want to see sustainability, ownership, education, and access. Those are really the 6 words that jumped out at me as I reflect on the information that we have. And as I've been very transparent in this process and in the discussions I've had specifically with staff and students, the sustainability part is the part that concerns me if we just maintain ownership and there's no partnership with it. There takes significant financial resources to run these properties, and I would be concerned about the deferred maintenance that we would get into over a course of a number of years should we not seek or take advantage of this partnership. So I think that this potentially lends itself to providing enhancement and sustainability at these properties. I was very pleased. An open question to me is how much does our community value the educational resource that these properties are? And that was answered. That was answered significantly, and I think there's a great appreciation of these properties as educational components. And in brief discussions with Oakland County Parks, there's a desire to enhance their educational programming as well and really learn from some of the stuff that we have done there, and Alan, through your work and leadership, has been able to do. And so there might be some synergies there. I do think that the 25% is indicative of we didn't provide answers. We were seeking input. And there is a lot of unknown still, and with that, skepticism and concern can arise. But I do think that this board has information enough now to suggest that our community is at least open to this possibility of a robust partnership. And what that looks like. As such, we have drafted a resolution for consideration later this evening in the event that this conversation goes positively and the board wants to entertain a resolution to move forward. And it would highlight some of the areas in which we heard through this presentation, such as maintaining ownership. It would give me directive to negotiate an agreement with the parameters that are outlined in what we heard from our community. So I think I'd be remiss not to acknowledge our partners in this too, the Preservation Bloomfield, Friends of the Bowers Farm, Friends of the Johnson Nature Center, the Historical Society. We've had tremendous amount of support throughout this discussion and a tremendous amount of interest. Our staff has provided great input and insight into what we should be looking for. So I do think I understand and appreciate the skepticism and the unknown as it relates to a partnership, but I do think that there is great opportunities, and I would encourage this board to consider the resolution that's before you tonight in furthering this conversation, as I think there's great opportunities to deal with the things that the community asks for: the preservation, the ownership, the enhancement, sustainability of these tremendous educational resources that we have. So again, if the partnership and the community engagement is any foreshadowing of what a partnership might look like, I think we're in good stead here. So I appreciate that. I appreciate all the work that went into this, and I appreciate the board's foresight to say, look, we need to hear from our community. And so the next step would be to entertain the resolution or some form or fashion of it. And we did run this through the strategic planning committee, and it'll be further discussion as we move throughout the night. But I appreciate the efforts and look forward to further discussion and dialogue. And the township, thank you. I'd be remiss. The township did respond tonight, and I believe they may, depending on the timing, may be here to read a letter that I provided each of the trustees regarding their support of this. You know, they have their own strategic planning process going on, and I know that Parks and Rec has been a discussion within the township, and I've had some discussions, quite frankly, with Supervisor McCready, and I think there is some excitement from the township level of what this could mean, too, for the residents. Not only our families that attend Bloomfield Hills Schools, but the larger community and the residents that live here. So with that, I'll stop speaking, and we'll continue the dialogue again through committee reports and through the discussions tonight.